Hey everyone, Anthony Fantano here. Internet's reddest. Got a little sun today, I think. Reddest music nerd. I hope all of you are doing well. It's time for a weekly track roundup where I go over what I felt were the worst and the best tracks of the week, and a little of some stuff in between as well. And regardless, it's all linked down below, so you can check out these tracks for yourselves. If any of the descriptions or artists pique your interest. Of course, also down there is our Turntable Lab link. We get kickback from that. And our Patreon page. Get some awesome extra bonus monthly content over there. Support us in the process. Also, shout out to our sponsor, The Ridge. Still rocking these amazing, awesome, minimalist, metal-plated wallets that fit nicely in your front pocket. Hit up that link down below. Use promo code MELON for 10% off. And that's all you got to do. Cool. All right, worst tracks of the week. We have a few. We have a couple. A few from last week as well, but, stuff we got to get through. We have Lil Xan. He's back with a new single, Life Sucks. And, as mediocre as this track is, as painfully boring and as mediocre as this track is, I will say this. It is more listenable than the stuff off Total Xanarchy. That's an improvement. It's still in the worst category, yes, and that's because lyrically it's underwhelming, production-wise it's underwhelming, and vocally it's still underwhelming. And frankly, at this point, I can barely remember the song as it is. But it's still better than Lil Xan's core output, so we could leave it there. All right, we have Willow, who is back with a new track. She just came off of a single with Travis Barker. This one over here is titled Lipstick. And, I kind of get what it's going for. I don't enjoy it quite as much as the last track, frankly. But I get what it's going for. That shouty, brazen, almost punk-influenced alt-rock vibe. But the vocals are just off, and the instrumental is just a little too discordant in an unflattering way, like in a way where it sounds like things aren't quite in tune and aren't quite as tight as they should be. Just sounds like a little bit of a mess. A lot of energy, a lot of rage, but it's not channeled into the best performance, I'll say. So we could leave it there. All right, we also have one from Isaiah Rashad, another track, another teaser from his forthcoming record, Headshots for the Locals. This one's even more boring than the last single. Last single was actually okay. This one is just drab as hell. Don't really get the appeal. The singing is weak. The rapping is weak. The production is weak. There's really nothing stand out about it. What were we waiting all these years for? Hopefully not this. This is just snooze fest. Snooze fest all the way. I just don't get the appeal. Maybe there will be fire in the deeper cuts on this forthcoming record, but man, these singles have not been it. All right, KSI, Holiday. He's back with a brand new single. YouTuber fighter, musical artist extraordinaire, and this one sounds like a commercial for a cruise line. Or at the very least, like some kind of pharmaceutical, thing where everybody's like dancing on the beach while you hear about the side effects of the hemorrhoid medication or whatever. It's not that great sounding. I get what he's going for. I get that he's, and look, the thing has tens of millions or just millions and millions, over 10 million plays on Spotify right now. So clearly whatever he's doing with this track is working, but it doesn't quite feel like, him. It just kind of feels like he's pandering a little bit, just trying to make the most obvious, painfully plain summer jam that one can imagine, and really not much else. So I don't know. KSI, Holiday. There you go. We have a new one from Jaden. Bye is the title. And not so enamored with this one, unfortunately. Even though Jaden is going for a different sound and in a different style on this track, as opposed to the more hip-hop influenced stuff he was doing on Sire and Iris, I feel like we're kind of running into the same problem here. We have a very pretty ornate, well-produced instrumental that is very sweet on the ears. It's sunny and summery. There is absolutely no doubt about that. but like once you move beyond the pretty veneer, there's not a whole lot to it. It just seems like really thin, not really robust on the lyrical side either. Some of the rapping on the back end kind of picks things up, but the singing is just really bland. So I don't know. It just seems a little hollow for the most part. And of course, Ed Sheeran, Bad Habits. Ed tries to go a little Kylie Minogue, little Weekend on this one, little dance pop, but it really severely feels like it's missing something, some charisma. So it's slick, it's nocturnal, it's got a dance beat, and doesn't really have much else, in my opinion. Does not really have too much else. I'm sure it'll get millions of hits and streams, though, but it's not a whole lot to it, in my opinion. And DaBaby has a new one out. Red Light, Green Light is the title, and the woodwinds laced into the instrumental are annoying, and not really sure what else to say about it other than that. Pretty much the same delivery we hear from Lil Baby all the time. So not too much changing on that front, but just kind of wish the production was more interesting and the songwriting was more interesting. Just kind of bleh. All right, let's move on to the tracks that I thought were kind of meh. Not blowing me away, not amazing, but certainly worth a shout-out, in my opinion, from this past week. Bam, new Unknown Mortal Orchestra, Weekend Run. It's soulful, it's a little vintage, it's 70s, it's sweet, it's a little trippy, it's kind of groovy as well. Wish the vocals were a bit stronger, but, it's got a good vibe to it. We have a new one from Tropical Fuckstorm, G.A.F.F. is the title of this one. And I'm usually down with the band's very noisy, discordant sound, but this one felt a little frantic in an awkward and, I guess, unappealing way. There were a few points where the dynamics of the track seemed a little crushed and squished down, too. Not as enamored with Gareth's lead vocals as I usually am as well. I mean, it sounds like the band's putting a lot of guts into it, but I don't know if it's coming together as well as their stuff typically does. We also have one from Damon Albarn's forthcoming record, the title track to the album, The Nearer the Fountain, the more pure the stream flows. And it's very low-key, it's very gray, it's very cloudy, it's very forlorn, just like the stuff off of Damon's last full-length solo record. But I will say, even though I'm not blown away with this one necessarily, the instrumental is a lot more ornate and just much prettier than many of the instrumentals were off of Damon's last full-length record. So I don't know, if we get a bunch of tracks compounding that have instrumentals this pretty, and this layered, then maybe we'll kind of really have something for this new full-length album. I'll say as a single, with it being as, I guess, low-key as it is, it's a bit of a tough sell. It's a tough sell as a single, but I could certainly see it as being a track that's one that could grow on me when I hear the entire record for sure. Cakes the Killa is back with Proper Villains for Motherland 2. Not as large as the first edition of Motherland, but it's a couple other, tracks of some very slick driving hip house. This one over here, Taste Test, is the one I want to point your direction in. Not as mind-blowing or as exciting as the stuff off of the original Motherland, but hey, more material in this vein is more material. More Cakes the Killa is more Cakes the Killa, and by hip house standards, generally this track is pretty sick. So give it a try. And let's move on to the best tracks of the week. Got a couple, got a handful. Let's do it. Little Simz. This one came out last week, but I missed it. But this one's got an interesting song structure and ends off on almost like a minimalist trap vibe that I think she does a lot better than some of the other artists out there kind of attempting that same sound. This will be an interesting album for sure coming out. Little Simz. Hell yes. We have a new one from Low over here, which I was pretty impressed by. Days Like These is the title of this one. And God, the harsh, just enveloping, distorted walls of sound on this one are incredible. And the super spacey synthy outro was definitely intriguing as well. Give this one a listen. It's definitely one of the most interesting tracks the band has put out in a while. Some passionate vocal harmonies as well. Loving it. We also have a new one from Jazmine Sullivan, Tragic. Great songwriting, quality vocals, just funky, awesome instrumental with a bit of a vintage flair. Loving it. We also have Young Gravy, Baby No Money. Wussup. It's hilarious. It's well produced by Y2K. Some good trade-offs between Gravy Baby and Baby No Money. It's just got a good, fun, tongue-in-cheek energy. Super catchy as well. Liking it. And we have this one over here from Fatboi Sharif, or Sheriff, but I believe Sharif, and Roper Williams, Fly Pelican, featuring YL. Awesome production on this track, and just two really solid verses from a couple of good rappers. Looks like they're from the New York area. Could be wrong about that, but just got a really good, almost like sad boy rap vibe to it. A little sentimental, I'll say, which the instrumental helps with quite a bit. And yeah, just liking the flows and liking the vibe and energy of this track quite a bit. And yeah, give it a shot. Give it a listen. And Carcass, Mellow Death Legends. Carcass come through with this new one over here. Hilarious art over here. Kelly's Meat Emporium is the title of it. It's got some blast beats, some sick riffs. It's got some awesome vocal layering as well. It's blistering. It's heavy. And it's got some awesome melodic guitar leads too. It's sick. Give it a listen. And that has been the weekly track roundup, everybody. That's been the weekly track roundup. You're the best. Love you, love you, love you. Hopefully you got some good recommendations out of this video. I'll see you in the next one. Anthony Fantano, weekly tracks forever.